Welcome to the Calibre Cast, the podcast dedicated to high-caliber conversations in architecture, engineering, and construction. Join Calibre Engineering as we dive into insightful discussions with industry experts exploring the latest trends, innovations, and challenges shaping the AEC world. Last November, Calibre invited a distinguished panel of engineers to participate in our Veterans Leadership Panel. Ruben Cruz, retired U.S. Air Force, Amelia Brooks Cisco, officer, Air National Guard, Brett Jackson, retired Army, Vistus Georgina, retired U.S. Air Force. These panelists discussed a myriad of topics related to military service and how it shaped their careers in AEC. The Calibre Cast, Burt and Callie, are diving into the panel discussion, highlighting key takeaways, and helping our listeners better understand AEC leadership through the eyes of the veteran community. This is the third episode in a special leadership series highlighting diverse voices and perspectives in AEC. Get ready to elevate your knowledge and be inspired by the high caliber insights shared today on the Calibre Cast.
Today, we're zeroing in on a really fascinating area, the connection between military experience and careers in architecture, engineering, and construction, AEC as it's known.
Right.
You shared some excerpts from a panel, things about leadership, teamwork, solving problems, and just how that military service really shapes their work now in AEC.
And these individuals, they bring such unique viewpoints shaped by that very demanding, very structured environment.
So who are we talking about specifically?
Okay, so first there's Ruben Cruz. He's a retired U.S. Air Force engineer. Got over 35 years in engineering management, large-scale projects, both government and private sector. Then Amelia Brooks Cisco. She's a project manager at Calibre, but also an officer in the Air National Guard, 14 years service. Then Brett Jackson, Army vet, former combat engineer. He has over 20 years now in sustainable engineering energy work, mainly in government. And finally, Vistus Georgina, retired Air Force veteran, 40 years combined experience, Air Force and industry.
That's quite a panel. And, what really struck me first from their chat was just how deeply the military service framed their whole approach to their AEC careers.
Absolutely. It's foundational.
Like Amelia, she talked about this core value of service that she had from, way back. Girl Scouts, marching band, So the military felt like a natural step. And that commitment, that oath to serve, it now blends right into her private sector work, environmental engineering, construction management. It's about societal impact for her.
It's amazing how that core value just carries through, isn't it? It's not just like a job description.
Mm-hmm.
It's deeper.
It really is. And Ruben, he put it so strongly. He said his military background framed everything in his life, even like family values, goal setting.
Everything, wow.
Yeah. He even shared this story about setting core values for his family like the military does. And this idea of the military as family, that commitment to his brothers in arms, it just runs so deep.
That concept of intense loyalty and responsibility, it's forged under pressure, I suppose.
Exactly. And he gives this really practical takeaway, too, this military principle. Who does what by when?
The classic.
Right. He said it's just fundamental. Clear roles, accountability, crucial in the military, obviously, but he uses it every single day in the private sector just to make things work better.
That makes perfect sense. Clarity avoids confusion, especially on complex projects.
And maybe the most profound thing he said was about the military's focus on people, treating people as the most valuable resource. He thinks, he strongly believes the private sector could really learn from that.
That's a powerful point. In those demanding military situations, the team's well-being is directly linked to mission success. You have to take care of your people.
So true.
And if you think about it, fostering that supportive environment where people feel valued, it's bound to boost productivity and, frankly, just lead to better outcomes anywhere, AEC included.
Okay, so moving on to skills. You might think, military roles translate directly to technical skills, and sometimes they do, but Amelia had a slightly different take.
Oh.
She argued that military service boosts all skills, especially like leadership and interpersonal skills, and those, in turn, make you better technically.
That's an interesting connection. So soft skills enhance hard skills.
Yeah. She talked about the how can we get to yes attitude. In the military, you have an objective, you figure out how to achieve it. It's not about saying can't do.
Right. You find a way. Obstacles are just problems to be solved.
Exactly. Military problem solving for her is just relentlessly finding that path forward, even if plan A doesn't work.
Which happens all the time in AEC, let's be honest. Projects rarely go exactly to plan. That adaptability, finding alternative solutions, it's gold.
Definitely. And Brett added another layer to this skills discussion. He remembered in the Army, if you were an engineer, people just assumed competence based on your branch.
Ah, the insignia told the story.
Right. But he said that changed. Without those clear identifiers, he felt this personal drive to really prove his skills across the board, engineering, business, project management.
So less relying on the label,
Yeah.
more on demonstrating capability.
Exactly. Actions speak louder. He needed to show what he could do to build that trust and cooperation.
Which probably made him a stronger, more versatile professional in the long run, right? This need to constantly prove and improve.
I think so. And that leads perfectly into teamwork, which is just so central to the military experience.
Absolutely fundamental.
Brett really hammered this home. No project gets done alone, big or small. The basics of project management are the same, he said. But the key is building that team cohesion. So when the pressure cooker turns on, you know who to count on.
Building that trust proactively, knowing your team.
Yes, and knowing your network for resources, too. He also brought up that famous military saying, it's not the plan, it's the planning that's important. The value is in the thinking, the communication, the anticipating changes that you know are going to happen. That's what gets you through uncertainty.
Because the plan will change. But if you've done the planning well, the team understands the goals, the constraints, the why, and can adapt together. It's about building that shared understanding.
And Vistasp, he jumped in emphasizing common ground as the starting point for any collaborative problem solving.
Finding that shared objective.
Yeah, he even called teamwork and collaboration a kind of salesmanship. You're selling the idea, the approach, to get everyone pulling in the same direction.
That's an interesting frame. Selling the solution.
He gave this great example from Air Force Base Command. There was this multi-million-dollar energy portfolio. Bases were struggling to execute it. Funds were at risk.
Okay.
So he proactively came up with a solution, but he had to get buy-in from all these different levels. His sale was emphasizing the common goal. Nobody wanted to lose those funds.
So he identified the shared pain point or the shared potential gain and used that to bring people together. Very smart. Proactive leadership, too, seeing the problem and finding the fix.
Definitely. And Amelia added that collaboration also means really understanding the intent behind what everyone needs, especially when you have different military branches trying to work together on one project.
Understanding the why behind the request, not just the what.
Exactly. And she brought back that how to get to yes idea again. It's about finding the solution that meets the core intent.
Makes sense.
Then Rubin raised a really important communication barrier, how sometimes people with the right answers, maybe younger folks, they hesitate to speak up.
Yeah, that can happen. Fear of being wrong or maybe not feeling empowered.
Right. And maybe sometimes older, more experienced people don't always, actively draw them out.
Or create that space for them to contribute comfortably.
So he stressed just how vital open communication and, importantly, responsiveness are. He even praised a colleague just for answering emails consistently and quickly, said it fostered an environment where people felt heard.
It sounds small, but that responsiveness signals respect for people's time and input. It builds psychological safety where everyone feels okay contributing. That's huge for getting the best ideas out there.
Absolutely. Okay, so the conversation shifted a bit then to this idea of taking the road less traveled.
Carving your own path.
Yeah. Rubin, he connected his own tendency to kind of, buck the norm back to his upbringing. His parents really pushed education as the way out of tough circumstances.
Education as an enabler.
Right. And he shared stories about being told not to do certain things in the Air Force, like people were surprised he didn't want to be a pilot or that he wanted to pursue a PhD.
Going against the expected grain.
But he stuck to it because he had clear goals. His advice for young people thinking about a less conventional path: basically, keep on trying and dream away.
I like that. Dream away.
But he added a dose of realism, too. He said, what you cannot envision cannot be done. So you need the vision, but also need to be practical.
That's great advice. Have the ambition, the dream, but ground it in reality and persistence. It shows real self-belief on his part.
For sure. And Vistasp, he had his own road less traveled story, but as a civilian within the uniformed Air Force.
Oh, interesting dynamic.
Yeah, he saw multiple big shifts, paradigm shifts, he called them, in civil service roles over his 30 years, like moving from doing design in-house to contracting it all out.
Constant change.
So he stressed you have to understand the rules of the game, the culture, the system, and then align your career moves with what you want to achieve. And Justin, the moderator, jumped in there to underline the importance of advocating for yourself.
You have to drive your own career.
Absolutely. Which led into talking about success factors and leadership more broadly. Amelia sees the military as just fundamentally a leader development machine right from the start.
Built into the structure.
Her own story was powerful. Enlisting as a single mother, she said it hugely boosted her confidence, her resilience.
Wow, that takes courage.
Yeah, and she's a big believer in having a 5-year plan. Ambitious goals, but broken down into smaller, achievable steps. Her own plan evolved. She initially planned a short enlistment, but ended up with a long-term career, got commissioned as an engineer, all because her confidence grew and she saw new doors opening.
That's fantastic. It shows how setting goals, even if they adapt, provides that forward momentum, and how challenges can really forge strength.
Definitely. Then Rubin brought up self-awareness. Know yourself to know others, he said. He actually recommended the Myers-Briggs test.
Oh, the personality assessment.
Yeah, said it helped him understand himself, his family members better, which improved relationships, helped him see different perspectives, understand why people approach things differently.
Knowing your own preferences and tendencies and recognizing others is foundational for good communication and teamwork.
And Brett, he built on that, emphasizing advocating not just for yourself, but for others too. Your subordinates, your peers, even your bosses.
Advocating up, down, and sideways.
Yeah, by understanding what they need and providing support. He also talked about seeking out broadening opportunities.
Getting outside your comfort zone.
Exactly. Stepping into different roles or projects, even if they seem unrelated. He said you often discover these surprising parallels and overlaps in skills. It can lead to really valuable, if unconventional, career paths.
Sometimes the best growth happens when you're stretched in unexpected ways. You find skills you didn't know you had.
So true. Okay, finally, they tackled a really practical question. How can AEC firms actually support veterans better?
Yeah, this is crucial for both sides.
Brett suggested firms need to prepare, leverage the huge diversity of experience veterans bring. Vistasp had advice for the veterans themselves. Figure out where your military experience actually fits in the AEC world, based on your rank and what you did.
Mapping military roles to civilian ones, matching the scale and type of responsibility.
But for the firms, Vistasp highlighted a big issue. Many veterans, especially enlisted personnel, don't know how to translate their skills onto a civilian resume. They have tons of experience in task management, planning, leading small teams.
But it's expressed in military jargon, maybe. Or they undervalue it.
Exactly. He pointed to engineer assistants, EAs, as a prime example. These are enlisted folks, often with incredibly valuable construction management experience, but it gets overlooked.
That's a huge missed opportunity for firms.
Yeah.
There's talent there that needs help with the translation piece.
Amelia jumped in right there, agreeing completely. So many veterans just don't see how transferable their skills are. Even enlisted roles, she stressed, involve serious management and planning.
It's not just about rank, it's about the responsibilities held.
She also mentioned EAs having that direct construction management background. Her main point was that AEC firms need to recognize and actually value the leadership training and experience people get in the military at all levels.
It's leadership developed under pressure, often with high stakes. That's valuable.
So naturally, someone asked about resources. Are there places to help veterans make that translation?
Good question.
Amelia mentioned transition workshops the military offers, but also really plugged, same again, the Society of American Military Engineers.
Right, Brett's involved with them too.
Yeah, she said it's invaluable for networking, for understanding career paths in AEC.
So that sounds like a fantastic resource. Connecting people, sharing knowledge, bridging that gap.
Definitely. And the discussion wrapped up with a little bit on leading up, managing your bosses, essentially.
Always a tricky but necessary skill.
Amelia shared a great story from Hawaii managing a STEM center construction project. She was a captain, mid-level officer, but dealing with rotating reserve and guard units, like new teams every 2 weeks. Very fast-paced.
Wow, talk about a management challenge.
And she had instances where higher-ranking officers, colonels, would come in wanting to change things, but she had to, respectfully but firmly assert her role as the PM, defend her team's plan because she was the one on the ground.
That takes confidence. Knowing your stuff and being able to communicate it effectively upwards.
And Rubin added a useful framework for thinking about that. He differentiated strategic command from tactical command. Use the Navy as an example. A fleet admiral has strategic command, right? Big picture.
Oversees the whole operation.
But that admiral wouldn't normally interfere with the tactical operation of a single ship. That belongs to the ship's captain.
Respecting the levels of command and responsibility.
Exactly. He said in any organization, understanding those boundaries, who's setting strategy, who's executing tactics, is crucial for leading up effectively without overstepping.
That's a really clear and useful distinction for any workplace, military, or civilian. Know your lane, but communicate effectively across lanes.
So, okay, bringing it all together for you, our listener, this deep dive, I hope, has really shone a light on just how impactful military service can be in shaping, well, really successful careers in AEC and probably beyond.
Definitely valuable lessons here.
You heard about that deep sense of service, right? How strong problem-solving skills get developed, the absolute necessity of teamwork and clear communication, and maybe the courage it takes sometimes to forge your own path.
Key themes throughout.
Our panelists really hit on self-awareness, the importance of advocating not just for yourself, but for your team, and always looking for those broadening experiences, ways to grow.
Continuous learning, continuous improvement.
And for anyone in the AEC world or hiring in general, maybe the big takeaway is recognizing the incredible diverse skills veterans bring. Leadership, project management under pressure, technical skills honed in unique situations, and the need to help translate that effectively.
Absolutely. Recognizing and valuing that unique experience.
So here's maybe a little food for thought for you. How could some of these principles apply in your world? That who does what by when idea for clarity, or that proactive how can we get to yes attitude when facing a challenge?
Yeah, think about your own team dynamics. Or consider that advice about self-advocacy and also supporting the growth of the people around you. How does that play out day to day?
We really hope you'll dig deeper into any aspects here that resonated.
Thank you, Callie and Burt, for an excellent overview of our Veterans Leadership panel. And thank you, our listeners, for tuning into the Calibre Cast. We hope you enjoyed this high-caliber conversation featuring insight from the leading industry experts representing the veteran community. We look forward to having you join us for another insightful conversation in our next installment. Remember to subscribe so that you never miss an episode of the Calibre Cast.